Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome back to the Khadija way. I am genuinely grateful and overwhelmed with all the responses I've been getting regarding our previous, sessions, and look forward to answering all your questions and interacting with you as we continue on this incredible journey. Now, today we are diving into the second principle, and it's a principle that everybody knows when you talk about Islamic finance or ethical finance in regards to, looking at Islam, and that is no interest. So, as we discuss why is interest considered so problematic, let us look at what the Abrahamic faiths, explain interest to be. And all three, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, see interest as the charging of rent for the use of money. Let's think about that for a minute. Interest is the charging of rent for the use of money. Now, if we look at the Old Testament, interest is called ribat. In Arabic, in Islam, it is called riba. So in essence, when we're talking about a ribat or a riba or interest-free banking system, this is where you are looking at investing at the community, within the community, by giving products and transactions that are actually beneficial, as opposed to charging the community rent for the use of money that you're giving them as a way to continually oppress them. And so interest is abhorrent because in its very essence is it brings about inequity and by extension economic injustice, because people that need the money are the same people that you are charging them rent for the use of money. How then can they ever become economically empowered? And the main reason for the prohibition of interest or the charging of rent on money lent is because it implies or is seen to be you're selling something you do not own or that does not exist, which evidently obviously leads to injustice and inequality. So if we look at Islamic finance or an example in Islamic finance is there is no concept of lending or a loan whereby you charge interest. The only loan that is accepted in Islamic finance is a good loan, or what is known in Arabic as qard hasan. And this is primarily used for the benefit of community. There is no charging of anything on that money. So I give you money for the benefit of the community or the individual for a purpose that is beneficial. And that money is given back at an agreed point of time and is flexible, and the agreed point of time is flexible and is merciful to the person that's being given the money, because it's primarily for people who cannot afford certain things, and it's to uplift them and the society in turn. So for what would be a more concrete example in this regard? In Kenya, we have the Africa Education Trust that gives out beneficial loans or good loans or qard hasan for the benefit of promoting education for the community. So I, for example, as a student, can go to them, and once they have done their due diligence and assessed what they have, will give you the financing, and your obligation is to repay it upon an appointed time, that exact amount of money. So if you're given $1,000, I don't know, for 2 years, then it becomes your responsibility to repay that $1,000 that was given for your education after the 2 years, and once you start working. What is the purpose of this? This is so that we begin to remove inequality and promote economic justice and fairness within the society. So in summary, Islamic finance, as is understood within the ethical finance realm, abhors interest. And the reason it abhors interest because it's seen to support the charging of money or the rent of money or for the use of money, primarily to communities that cannot even afford it. And it is a shared understanding, as we have seen in the beginning, within all the Abrahamic faiths. So the promotion of equity and economic justice by the removal of interest is actually something that ideally should bring us together. As I mentioned in the beginning of our session, that everybody understands that a key component or a key feature within Islamic finance or ethical finance is the dislike of interest. But I hope that through our conversation today, we understand that the abhorrence of interest is actually a shared abhorrence across all the Abrahamic faiths, and really people who care about equity and justice, and is not specific to Islamic finance or Islam in particular. And what we hope that this brings about in this conversation is an understanding that for all of us to gain, then we must go back to certain moral and ethical values. And interest as a concept has never been that. And it doesn't matter if we change the term from usury to interest and don't really explain what those parameters are, and expect that to be better, because in its very core, it doesn't change. I hope this has been beneficial, and I hope it shed a lot more light as to why Islamic finance distances itself from the whole concept of interest. And I look forward to sharing further conversations with you. So join me next week to understanding what the third principle will be. And you got it. You have to share, like, and subscribe to the channel, The Khadija Way. And let's keep these conversations going.